In this week's episode, we'll discuss the topic, raise tuition without losing students, the playbook. Welcome to Black Belt Banter, the best podcast that help your martial arts school increase in profit and generate substantial revenue. I'm your host, Jimmy Hong, and my co-host is Master Chan Lee. We're joined by Master Bronson Ko, a second-generation martial artist turned visionary entrepreneur. He opened his first Taekwondo school at just 23 and now leads 3 premium locations, including 2 custom-built state-of-the-art facilities. Master Ko recently published his book, The Mentor Method, How to Teach with Calm Authority and Transform Every Student, available now on Amazon and other major bookstores. Master Bronson, you've stayed busy. Since the last time we had you on the podcast, you became an author, published a book, and built one of the highest priced tuition programs in the country, all while running phenomenal schools. I'm genuinely curious to see what you'll have accomplished by the next time you're on the podcast, Master Ko. What is going on over there?
It's called ADHD.
Master Chan has plenty of that.
Yeah. But it's all undiagnosed, and that's what keeps me focused is Taekwondo.
Why do you
Right.
think we're still in Taekwondo?
Right, exactly.
Our generation's always all undiagnosed. It's our kids that are all diagnosed.
They're overdiagnosed.
Yes.
Cor-
Yes, exactly.
Correct.
We're underdiagnosed.
Correct.
Exactly.
Correct.
Okay, so let's go to this topic. It affects all school owners because they're always thinking about raising tuition, but then they're scared of, hey, I don't want to lose students. Master Ko, let's start off with you. Will raising tuition automatically lose students?
It's not going to automatically lose students, but there's definitely a chance. We've experienced that before. Actually, I have put together the kind of requirements that I think are important that you have to pay attention to before you start trying to increase your rates. The first is for
Well,
us.
here, before
Yeah.
you get into that,
Yep.
just so everybody in the audience kind of gets an idea, how much one person program in your school, how much are you charging for tuition right now?
We start at $299, and then our invite only or our upgrade programs can go up to $499 per month.
You said you have a checklist. So from going to $159 to $299, which is almost like double the price, right? Can you talk to us about how you felt the confidence, what things you needed to offer to eventually get to that price point? I'm sure there's a lot of people on our podcast we still know school owners that are still under $100, right? We know some people that run clubs that are like $50, right? And you look at that. Get us through that process. What did you do where you felt comfortable and said, you know what? $159, $200, breaking the $200 barrier, I'm sure was very difficult. Right now, going up to like close to $300, and I'm sure you're going to like mid 300s. That's the way you think, and eventually $400 per person. I can see it right now. So get us through that process. If you are coaching us or talking to us, let our audience know, like, how did you do it, and what was your checklist?
I think it starts with something very simple, which is you have to believe that your program is worth it. And that's a question that you can only answer yourself. Because if you don't actually believe that, then don't even try to charge it. Because if you're going to be higher than your competition, then you have to justify that. That's the most important question that you must answer is, why would anyone pay this rate compared to somebody down the street who's half the cost? And I think it comes down to the details. You got to get the details right. And that starts with your facility. How does it look, smell, all those things. I've talked about this before. And then the level of care that you're going to give the student and the parents, taking care of the students and the parents. But most importantly, people are going to evaluate value based on what? Price. That's just the way it is. That's just human psychology. It's 101, right? Mercedes versus Chevy. Why is it that people are willing to pay 3 times more? Is it really that much better? And the deeper part of this, I think, is you have to get so amazing at providing a solution for people's specific problems. But when you try to be like too general, you become a commodity. So if you just say you're a Taekwondo studio, that's it, or you're a karate studio, then people start comparing you to the people down the street or the other studios. You want to get out of the commodity game. We have to figure out how can you be different. So for us, we've always tried to focus more on. Yeah.
Before
sorry.
you get into that, can I interrupt you? So let's get through that psychology part, right? Like you got to believe, right? And I remember being a young instructor working for my dad. I remember we were charging $89 a month. And I finally broke the $89 barrier. I was like, all right, we're going to go to 109, right? And at that time, to tell you how old I am, the local YMCA was $79 a month. And I had a parent come in and goes, you guys are more than the YMCA. They have this giant facility. So they're comparing us to the YMCA. And if you can match what I can pay the YMCA, I'll do it. And as a young instructor, I was like, yeah, you're right. Fine. I didn't have the confidence to say, no, we're better than the YMCA. We're teaching your child life skills and we're going to be making your child into a better human being through martial arts. And I didn't have all that armed in my pocket yet. Right. So I went and took their logic and said, okay, I suppose you're right. I will match it. Even though I made this big decree, like we're 109 a month now. And I just remember seeing the kid every time and I was so pissed off. I was like, damn it, that's that kid that mom just worked me down on the price. And then it got to the point where for years I taught the kid with bitterness. I was like, man, that's the mom and dad that doesn't realize, what I've done for their kid. And she like knocked me down on price and whatever. And it was like an early life lesson, right? So it was something like I didn't believe yet. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So as I say that, what's something that you did to say, okay, I'm going to charge $299 a month? You know what I mean? $3,600 a year. You're with me for 3 years. Heck, you're going to be you're going to be paying me over $10,000, right? After 3 years of getting a black belt, that's 10,000 plus testing fees and so forth. In your brain, can you like everybody that's out there? I think this is a deeply fascinating. I know you glanced over it, but I think there's a lot of people that still just they're not even breaking $100, or they're struggling to go over $200 for monthly tuition. And a lot of ASA members are over $200 already. So if you can talk us through that, I'm fascinated to hear like what you did to get to that point.
It's simple. Results. If I have seen the results with my own two eyes, and I've been the one kind of leading them to that and getting the results, it's so easy to sell because I've seen it thousands of times, right? The child will come in, they're super shy or defiant. 3 years later, completely different child. It happens today over and over again. Parents tell me this over and over again. So when you keep getting that feedback, then you get assurance because then it works. It's like trying to sell some sort of product that you're promising it's going to do this thing, but then you've never seen it do that thing. Once you've seen it over and over again, it's so easy to sell. And that, I think, is the most important part. And really, it just starts on the mats. If you're not able to produce on the mats in your classes and actually deliver what you're trying to sell, of course you can't increase your rates because you're going to be lying. So it has to start on the mats.
Recently, I came across this Instagram reel somewhere from some guy, and he has a small MMA school, and he's just started blasting Taekwondo schools, and it was like comical. It was like, Taekwondo schools it's a farce. They don't really teach you how to fight, and they don't teach you real martial arts, this and that. And I looked at it, and I was like, thank goodness for this guy. I hope this guy keeps going, and because that's not what the market wants, right? No mom that's 6 years old, has a 6-year-old girl or boy, wants their kid in an MMA gym learning how to fight, right? And I'm like, good, kudos. This guy is going to clean up house on all the meatheads. I appreciate all the people that just want to fight and so forth. Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge UFC fan and I have friends that coach in that arena, but that's not our market. Our market are average mom and dads that want their kids to be better human beings. And I think you hit it on the head. Is we've all seen this, right? You guys that are out there on this podcast, you've seen kids become better human beings from the result of what you taught them. And that's what, Master Co is really expounding, is that you got to produce the results. Now, the kid can do high kicks and so forth, yet he talks back to his mom. You did the wrong thing. You did the wrong thing. That's not what you were supposed to fix. You're supposed to fix the fact that he's a better human being. So did I get that right? Did I categorize that right?
100%. And if you think about it as a long-term investment, so for example, I used to be able to do all the jump, spinning kicks and all that stuff. If I tried to do that today, I'd probably throw out my back. And I don't do it anymore because it's not worth it. But guess what I still have from my training under my father when I was a child? Being able to withstand discomfort, so discipline, that focus, that drive, all those life skills that my father gave me when I was younger. That's what we're giving these kids. And I've seen it. Again, keep saying this, but I've seen it with my students who've grown up, and I see them become successful. And they tell me it's because of their training at Coma is why that they are who they are today. So then if you look at $10,000, yeah, if it's only for 3 years and then it's $300 a month. But what if you spread it out for 50 years? That's nothing. 10,000 over 50 is nothing. That's an easy investment.
Wow, that's a great way of looking at it. I never thought of it that way. Your whole lifetime.
Right.
So what are other things that are on your checklist that you have to check off the box in terms of it's time to raise tuition, or this is, and I don't think you recommend this, right? Yeah, you're at 159. Oh, Master Co does 299, and they go right to 299.
Yeah.
That's not what you're advocating, right?
Correct.
So what other steps, maybe 10, 20 bucks, what other steps are on your checklist, sir?
This is such an art form. I've gone through this many times and made so many mistakes along the way, which results in people just quitting because they're like, it's too much. And then you can come across as that all you care about is money. So it is a delicate issue that you have to treat seriously. I think there are 3 conditions that you must have in place before you start raising rates. One of them has to be checked off. First, they have to be getting something different. You can't just raise rates and they're not getting anything different. That's the first thing. Second is they must be getting something better. You can't raise rates when they're not getting anything different, but more importantly, something better, right? If you're going to raise your rates, it's because we're giving you more value. You can't just raise rates and then they're getting the same thing. And then lastly, the demand is high enough to compensate for students leaving over that rate increase. I've just talked to a studio owner, and he mentioned that he is at a waiting list and he wants to expand his studio for have more square footage. And I'm thinking 20 years later, I'm like, don't do it. Stay small and just raise your rates, because the people who really want to be there, they will pay it. And the ones who don't really see the value, they will step aside, and the new ones on the waiting list will come in. That's where you want to be. You don't want to keep expanding like I did, and you're always having to chase people.
Let me say something most martial arts school owners don't want to hear. Working harder is not what's going to grow your school. Most school owners are grinding every day, teaching classes, answering messages, running trials, posting on social media, and still stuck at the same number of students month after month. You start wondering, what am I doing wrong? Why are other schools growing faster? Why does it feel like I'm working more but getting less? Here's the truth. It's not effort. It's not talent. It's the way you think about your business. That's exactly why we created Black Belt Banter. This podcast is free, but it's not entertainment. We talk about real problems school owners face: marketing, staff, retention, revenue, the things nobody teaches you when you open a school. Black Belt Banter helps you think like a school owner who's growing, not one who's just trying to survive. But thinking the right way is only step 1, because knowing what to do is very different from knowing exactly how to do it. That's where ASA Live comes in. Asa Live gives you the details, step-by-step systems, exact strategies, real instructions you could use right away. Black Belt Banter shows you the direction. Asa Live shows you the path. And the school owners who use both are the ones adding students, increasing revenue, and building schools that actually grow year after year. If you're listening to Black Belt Banter, you're already ahead. And when you're ready for the next level, register at asamartialarts.com/live or simply click on the description below to get started. Because growth doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you think different and then execute. And your schools are not small. You have an 8,000 square foot location, a
Yeah.
5,000 square foot location.
Yeah.
I mean, you have some and state of the art facilities, like I said previously, very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say a typical school owner charges $170, right? Is there a amount to charge? Is it 10%, 20%? Can he just go to $210? Is that, I
I
mean,
think in my opinion, people usually can stomach $30 or less per month, right? If you increase them $30 or even, I think 30% is like the max before they start really feeling it. Netflix does this all the time, right? They bump you up by $5, $10 or whatever. People are like, whatever. But if they bumped you up $50, they're going to start losing customers. And I would even say every time you bump up your rates, just be ready. People will quit. One of them will, but you have to be very delicate with it. But the amount, again, it just 30% rule. I'd say don't go above 30%.
okay, I have a follow-up question to that. When you raising tuition, is your existing students' tuition raised or are they grandfathered in per their membership agreement and it only applies to new students coming in? Or when you raise it, obviously, if you're doing month to month, then you should be charging the raised rent to everybody who's on the month to month plan because that's the point of the month. They could quit
Yep.
anytime, but
Yep.
if your tuition is raised, they're going to get the higher tuition as well. If they're in a Black Belt Club 3-year membership agreement, is their tuition grandfathered in as you raise it? Or do they pay the raised tuition?
I think it's case by case, but overall, like I said earlier, I would not raise any rates for anybody unless they're getting something different. So for example, if they're going from like a basic program to Black Belt Club or some sort of upgrade, you can raise rates because they're supposed to be getting something different. But if they're in a basic program, I think it's best to keep them where they're at because I feel like it becomes a real negative point in the business when you just raise their rates just because, even if they're paying monthly. Theoretically, you could be charging them more money because they didn't pay ahead. They didn't lock in their rate. Unless you have contracts, that would be something that you would have to honor. But I don't think it's worth it for the most part to try to raise your current people's rates because I've done it and it's backfired and I regret doing it. But that's
What
why
about,
yeah.
I'm sorry, go on. What about saying, hey, the cost of the business is higher, the utility is higher, the rent is higher, because rent isn't just staying flatline for 10
Right.
years. They raise rent on you 3% every year like clockwork. So
Yeah.
the cost of business is higher. You're giving raises to your instructor, how much 3 to 6% every year as well, right? To your full-time instructor, their salary is not matched the same as every year. So isn't it reasonable to assume, hey, every year the cost of business goes up. You have to adjust your revenues and tuition to match that cost of rent, utilities, payroll, yourself, so forth. Isn't that a reasonable assumption to raise tuition?
Yeah, for you and I, it's reasonable. But for the parent, they don't care. They don't care at all. All they care about is what's coming out of their bank account. So yes, logically, you can explain that. But at the end of the day, they don't care about that. So the goal would be, how do I increase the value so much that they then get it, like they understand? So I've tried all of that, right? Oh, it's because we're paying our instructors more. I don't think they really care about that. They always just care about what else am I going to get? How is it going to improve? Now, if you do show them, like, we got new mats, we got new facility improvements, we just hired 3 instructors, okay, maybe that would be like a $10 increase per month or something. But like I said, just recently we've gone through this and I've realized it's just a very delicate issue that you have to treat seriously.
I agree with Master Co. I think the current people that have been there, you kind of lock in their rates. And then if you do raise their rates, it's on upgradable programs. And for the new people, there's always new people coming in. Those people know no different.
Correct.
So those people, you should just put them on the new rate.
Yep.
And so that's the way I would handle all the increases and so forth, is the new people. And the people that have been loyal to you or have been there for a while, just lock them in,
Yeah.
and get them in there. You know what I mean? So
What-
anyway,
What about, Master, to argue that I want to be the other person on the side? What about
you want to be the jerk?
I want to be the jerk. I live my life to be jerks, to be a
Yeah.
jerk.
It's nothing different than what we normally know about you, but yes,
I'm just being myself. Okay.
100%.
So what about the reason of, hey, these parents are with you. They trust you. You can raise the rate. You can raise the tuition on them and they'll understand because they believe in your system now. They believe in your program now. They see the value of your program. So if they've been with you 6 months, 18 months, 3 years, and you're like, look, I'm going to raise my rate $30 more. Your tuition is, instead of 170, it's 200 now, because everybody knows in all of their other lives, their rates are raised, right? Except for maybe their mortgage. But if they're renters, the rent is raised. If they're utility bill, the utility bill. So it's not such a far off conclusion. Be like, I can't believe this school. But because you build that trust and you've made a difference in their child, you can raise the rates and they'll be understanding because they know you more. They know where you're coming from. They know you're authentic. And if they're month to month, there's got to be some leadway. They could quit any time without any repercussion because they're month to month. They're not in agreement. That means you could raise the rate on them because they're a month to month contract. They're a month to month agreement. What do you say to that, Master Chan?
I do know friends that do that every year, and there are rate increases every year, and they have a big push in, I think, November, December, that, hey, beginning of the new year, we have our new rates, and they send a huge email blast and whatever. And they do it successfully. They're all month to month and so forth. And they also get a lot of, how can I say, they get a lot of customer service talks, January, February, people dropping off and so forth. I do know they get that. And then they get a lot of people, because I have some freezes, but I don't get that many freezes in the summer. You know, the people that quit because of the summer and they put your membership on hold and whatever, because I'm like, you're in a locked in rate. Your rate's going to change if you come back. So I do use it for different things. Right. And I'd be like, yeah, you can freeze, but I just want to say that you're going to go back to our prevailing new rate right now. Right. So there's ways that you can use it. To me, if you're in a basic level program, right, just leave them there. And I will, if you love my program, you won't be in the basic level program. You'll move up and be upgraded to something that's better to get you into more of a leadership role or in weaponry or something else that they're going to get different. And that's the difference.
Master Ko, one last question regarding the tuition, and then we can move on. Let's say school owner does follow that example of, okay, the existing schools are grandfathered in. Let's not raise the rates on them, but the new members are going to pay the higher tuition rate, right? Will there be a disconnect between different parents paying different tuition? And because we all know parents talk, right? They all talk. They all know what's going on. They're very educated consumers, especially this day and age. Won't that create some kind of friction that you're not expecting?
No, I think they understand that was then and this is now. You know, the rates have gone up since they joined, so they should have joined earlier. So it's on them that they didn't join earlier. So I think they understand that part of the business for the most part. And I've never had anybody bring that up ever, where they're like, oh, such and such is paying that or whatever. And if they did, I would just say, you know what? They joined 2 years ago and that was the rate then. And we've had inflation. So that's what it is now.
That is a great point. Be consistent. Don't be giving deals to different people and so forth, especially people of certain ethnicities.
Asians?
Right? No, I don't want to say Asians. I just say just certain ethnic groups will talk with one another. And if you give one person that rate, that whole ethnic group will be like, my cousin because they all worship at the same place and
Right.
they're in same social circles, and it is a hot mess. And I had one of my locations give a deal to a family they were close to, and then all of a sudden I'm like, "What are you guys talking about?" And I had to call that location. I said, "What'd you guys do?" And I was like, "I can't honor that." You know what I mean? And I said, "That's a special deal, and they shouldn't have told you, so they might get their deal rescinded." And then they came back. They're like, "No, that's not what we're saying." And I'm like, "Okay, this is our rate. This is what we're at." So be clear. I just want to talk about value real quick. This just happened to me yesterday, right? I was at one of our locations. Wednesday, the head instructor there gets the day off. So I just kind of follow up with prospects there and teach. And I teach the leadership class there. And had this family slam dunk, I thought. Two kids have enjoyed it for the full month in our trial. They haven't missed. Looks like a pretty wealthy family. They found out about our program because their nanny comes to our place. So they have a nanny. And the lady comes in my office and I went, "Okay, this is such a great thing. It's going to help kids become confident." I did the whole spiel. The kids got their stripes. The kids love it, right? So I'm waiting for her to just pull out her checkbook and she goes, "I don't know if we can." Well, one, I think this is a lot more than I thought it was going to be. And I said, "What do you mean? We can only come once or maybe even twice a week." And yada, my kids are young. We currently are a part of a same thing, health club, right? Part of a health club, and the kids all enjoy that and whatever. And I said, "I certainly understand your kids are coming in at a young age and we're going to be able to cement these really good ideals or whatever." And the lady just started at $2.99. It's a high price, right? So I'm $2.99 for two people, right? So that's my rate for two people. So I looked at the lady and I said, "When you're ready, I'll be here." And I couldn't take that as an answer, right? And I felt like I did 3 times. I have a rule, like, I'm gonna try to overcome your objection 3 times, and after 3 times, I'm like, "Thank you for giving us the opportunity, and when it's ready, and when you're ready to get your children to learn, how to be more confident," and so forth. And then person leaves, right? And yesterday, I had another person, same thing, but it was one person, and my rate is $199 a month. And I did the whole spiel. The guy goes, "Yeah, let's do it. My daughter loves it. I can see how this is gonna help her," and so forth. And then I said, "All right, let me go different paid in full options." The man just paid for the whole thing, right? Paid in full, right? And it was same day, right? So this person saw the value, no problem, drops thousands of dollars into my program. And another person just is unwilling to pay $2.99 for both of her kids to do it, right? And it's a value issue. If you don't expound the values of what they're going to get and the future value of what the child is going to become from their experience with you, then you're never going to get them. It's just another activity. As I say that, Master Co, what are some things that you really press upon the value to get someone to do $2.99? And I think you have a $4.99 program too, right? Okay. So besides, like, you have this leadership class, you've got this weapons class, you got a class that's going to get you to become an instructor. This is a class that gets you to be competition, because I know you still go to competitions. You got high level students there. No, you don't do competitions anymore?
I stopped years ago.
I saw you had all these competitions. I thought for sure you're still like,
Oh, that
going
was like
around.
10 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I got old data. So you're not even telling them to go to competitions
No.
anymore.
Wait,
No.
Master Co, why'd you stop going?
It's a complete waste of time and money. But hold on. For me, I have to preface that. For me, if I have staff that I can delegate, maybe. Because that's a whole nother topic. Because that can't. Yeah.
That is a whole different topic. We're gonna have a whole podcast
Yeah.
about that. Though. Please go on, Master.
I can touch on that. But going back to your question was, what do we do to add more value? Actually, I want to ask you real quick. So the first family with the 2 kids, tell me about the kids. Were they like athletic and great, easy to teach?
They were young. They were 4, 6,
Okay.
and they were space cadet-y, but they did well at the end of the class.
Who brought them to class?
The nanny and the mom.
So there's
Right. And the other thing too, mom is 7 months pregnant, so they're about to have a kid in 2
there
months.
you go.
So there's another issue there.
Yeah.
I don't want to make excuses. At the end of the day, if she loved me and she realized what I'm going to do with their kids and
Yeah.
how I'm going to have them like grow into these monsters in life, no problem. But she didn't see it. She's pregnant. Maybe her brain's not all. She's, we love it. It just,
Yeah.
there was a lot of things there. And I felt like let me overcome this. And then she'd throw another object. Let me overcome this. She'd another object. I was like, okay, all right. You know what? Maybe it's not a good time. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And thank you for giving us the opportunity and so forth. And the nanny is a student of ours too, right? So
Oh.
it was like a super strong referral, right? So I
Yeah.
thought, okay, slam dunk.
What about the one who paid in full? How old was the child?
The girl was 6, right? Really shy.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew it.
Yeah. Super shy. The kid, and one of the things I do in our procedures is that, especially shy kids, I want them to stand and deliver. All right, who could show me this kick? Right?
Yep.
Current kid, right? A current kid, that's good. Second kid that needs it. And then third kid, I'd be like, new kid, show me. All right, that was awesome. And then this is what I want, in my opinion, is just as soon as the camera goes out, I go, oh, I did a good job. Mom or dad. The kid also, like, so one of the procedures at our school is that you don't get your white belt. Like, you got to clean your room and you've got to be kind. So if you record 5 acts of kindness and you do 5 disciplined acts at home, we will give you your first white belt, right? So the kid filled it out. There was a little bit of a change at home, right? And we were doing the new white belt presentation at the beginning of class. And then all of a sudden the camera came out. I was like, oh, they're into it. They're into it. So yeah, both parents work. They're very busy. Dad just happened to bring today, and dad didn't even have to consult mom. He was like, yeah, this is good. This is really good for my daughter. He could see the value of it.
Yeah.
Right.
I
One more, not that I want to make a broad-based. He went to undergrad in New York. So I live in Milwaukee. He went to undergrad in New York. And then I think he's got his medical degree from University of Chicago.
Yeah.
Very well educated, right?
Yeah.
So you said, okay. Like I said, oh, it brings you to Milwaukee. That's my kind of lead in to that. And so when you see that, you go, okay, these people get it.
Yep.
Like, there's an automatic, I see what this can do for my kid, because I went through a lot of crap in my life that made me who I am today.
Yeah.
And I don't want my kid to turn off soft, right? I don't want my kid to, you know what I mean? So there was a little bit of that too. So I thought in terms of values, it all kind of aligned very easy.
You hit it on the head with the father's occupation. I did a deep dive analysis on all of our data for the last 15 years. We collect all the occupations, everything. And it basically came down to the parents who are physicians, and specifically the ones who are business owners. They stay the longest. Their retention rate is much longer. And my opinion on that is that they just understand that things that are worthwhile take time. So in order to build a business, that takes time. In order to become a physician, that takes 10 plus years. So they get that it takes time. They're more forward thinking, as opposed to other people that are more now. They throw them in soccer, they put them in gymnastics, whatever is going to make them happy for now. And they're not thinking more for the long term. So I think the most important thing we have to remember is you have to attract the right people into your studio, into your school. You can attract the people who just don't see the value into your school and try to get them to pay $99 a month. And they're not even going to pay for it. And we have to step back and realize we're not charging $2,000 a month. This is not that much money. I mean, it is, but it's not $2,000, right? It's $100 up or down. So $100 is less than Netflix. It's less than what people pay for Starbucks per month. They spend much more than that. So I think we start getting into the nitty-gritty too much and not understand the bigger picture, which is get the right people in your studio with the right problems, and they're going to be perfectly fine paying $299 a month. And for us, whenever we have the child who tried all the sports, they're super shy, and now they have nothing else, the parents are like, whatever it costs, we're in, because I want my child to be involved in something.
That's fascinating. The data of what the parents do as a profession is that use the data of who stays the longest, and
even the starting age too. If they start between, I think it was like between the ages of 9 to 11, they will stay significantly longer, which made me start looking at our programs. I'm like, should we phase out our 3 and 4-year-old program? Because their retention rate's 4 months. Because they're struggling, they're crying, and then it's so hard for the parents to bring them in. They're not seeing progress because it's just basically first quarter is just getting them used to coming to class. So I definitely think people need to make sure they don't forget about the data and use AI to analyze it for you. I have Claude now, have a folder. I just pump it the data in all the time and constantly asking questions. Don't try to do that with your own, which pea brain today compared to AI.
I
Interesting.
use my 17-year-old staff teenager. I give him all this data and
Yeah.
tell him to, and then he gives me every wrong answer possible. So I think
That-
you're
But
right.
I'd be thinking, talking about Claude, right? I bet if you ask Claude, what can I do to keep 4, 5, 6-year-olds, right? There would be a pretty interesting answer there in terms of doing that. Because, yes, I agree. But I think our sweet part, I'm just doing this without looking at data, but I would have to say our sweet spot is 7 and 8-year-olds. I think if you get a 7 and 8-year-old and they get their black belt by 10 or 11, then they're going to stay significantly longer all the way through black belt, right?
Right.
But we do have a really strong track record of 4, 5, and 6s. And to me, it's not about training the 4, 5, and 6s. To me, is managing the expectations of the parents at 4, 5, and 6, right? To me, it's the opposite end. Like, these are new parents. They're at the whim and they don't know how to parent. And so in my opinion, being able to talk to the 4, 5, 6-year-old parents and saying, this is what I'm doing for your son right now. And having him quit sends the wrong message. Right. And it's funny because now I'm like way older than a lot of the parents that come in. Before, I think you and I we were younger than the parents.
Yes.
And at one point we were the same age as the parents. And then we're a little bit older than them. And now you and I we're like Yoda.
Let's be clear. Out of everybody here, Master Chan, you're the oldest. So, let's not put our levels of age together when one is clearly more older than the other.
I want to thank everybody for coming on the radio show today. I really appreciate it. All right. It's a radio show, right? But anyway, as I'm talking here, to me, it's a two-part issue, especially with talking to the younger kids. Is I had this happen a couple weeks ago where I had and I'm the best one to handle this, so I enjoy handling it. I train our staff on how to handle it. We have scripts on this and so forth. But once again, I was at one of our locations and I had this young 5-year-old kid that hates coming to class and line up, right? He purposely ties his belt off like it's a magic belt. Like somehow it just magically comes off all the time. And we're always tying his belt and he's got to use the bathroom 5 times. You know what I mean?
Yep.
If I'm not looking, he's laying on the ground. At one point he was drawing on the mat with his spit. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, it's like this kid, and I've known him for about a year and a half. So mom is at wit's end. No, he's 6 now. I think Desmond's 6. So he's 6 years old. So I've known him for a year and a half. Good kid. He's still got what, 3 years left to get a junior black belt in our school. And mom's got master league to struggle and so forth. And so I did a little pump up talk about being great. If you want to be great, you got to put a lot of effort in. But are you just a regular person or are you like a great person? And he said, I want to be a great person. So I said, you got to put this effort in. Started putting a little bit more effort in. And then I looked at mom. I said, listen, we are planting a flag today, right? If you let him quit today, he's going to quit everything else the minute it gets hard. And you know how much better he's gotten since he's gotten here. You remember the days he used to cry and now he's jumping into class and now he's just, not putting a lot of effort in. But if we can overcome this and teach this now and indoctrinate him with this type of attitude about giving 110%, even doing something you don't want to do, imagine what he can do later on when he's 12, 13, when he goes off to high school and so forth, right? We want your son to build greatness, but we got to do it here now, right? Don't give in to him. Let's work together to make this. And all of a sudden she changed and she's like, you're right. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm here for. That's what we're working here together for. And she shook my hand, walked out. And now we're going to monitor him with giving him stripes and stickers and try to get him to test the next time, get him motivated and so forth. And I can just imagine my 24-year-old staff member trying to do the same talk to the mom. it doesn't have the same effect. So just being able to educate them. So one of the things I did was Angela Duckworth's grit video. Have you seen that on TED?
I've
I
read her
send that to the
book.
parents.
Yeah, the book's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The book is great too. So just indoctrinating the parents with this is what we're doing with your kid, right? We're building grit and toughness in your kid. So don't let them quit. And then the second thing, I just, gosh, I saw it's another TED talk and it's on growing through discomfort. I don't know if you saw it, but it was like a lady, it was a psychologist that works with kids that are like, they're severely anxiety. They have severe nervousness. Like one kid didn't leave the house for a long time. And she said, you grow through discomfort. Like she has one kid that's scared of germs. And at one point she's making him play chess on the bathroom floor with her. And she's having them be uncomfortable and grow through this discomfort.
Yeah,
And
I
I said,
watched
this is
that.
what we do.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
so that's kind of what we'd like to do is educate. And I say, this is why your kid has to do tournament. This is why your kid has to stand up and deliver in front of his classmates. This is why your student has to test. And I think it's a mentality. I think it's the more we can educate what we do, I think the value of what we do is at a much higher level. And in some respects, certain career paths, they get it right away. And some people, they just, they don't get it. You know what I mean? And it's up to us to really constantly educate that group. Is there, in terms of, you said you added programs or things in your school to add more value. Can you give us an example of some of those things? Is it leadership or is it techniques or is it weaponry? Is it reality self-defense? These are some of the things I do. So what are things that you do in your school?
So we recently updated our upgrade programs to age-based. And if anybody's listening, please learn from my mistake. Because we had Black Belt Club class, and we would have anywhere from a 5-year-old all the way up to a 14-year-old. This is
Right.
so important to remember. Students stay long-term in anything because of friends. That's it. We become not like irrelevant, the instructors, the getting better and all that stuff and perfecting your sidekick for the most part, 95% of the time is irrelevant. They don't care about that. They keep going because of friends. Now we have Black Belt Club, which is 5 to 8, and then mentorship is 9 to 12, and then leadership is 13 and up. The first big difference in these programs is the curriculum becomes more advanced. So we've basically put all of our basic in the fundamentals program, in the basic program. Once they're in Black Belt Club, mentorship and leadership, then they start learning higher level forms. That also includes the techniques, the kicks, all that stuff. We also added kickboxing. So they put on boxing gloves and shin guards, and we teach them kickboxing for Black Belt Club, mentorship, and leadership. And then once they're in mentorship, the older program, we start helping them with ground defense. So jiu-jitsu. How do you escape a headlock? How do you do, like this quarter, we're working on kimura, escaping mount, things like that. And then lastly, for our mentorship and leadership programs, as the words describe, they have the opportunity to become leaders. What does that look like? They can assist classes, which we train them on how to do that. And then eventually they can lead their own class and then become one of our paid staff members. So a lot of it revolves around this kind of getting them to a more advanced level, but they can only be invited in these programs, which is the most important part of this, is you have to choose for them to come into the program. They can't choose themselves. So all those benefits increases the value. And then lastly, honestly, I forgot to mention the most popular one for the younger kids, most popular benefit, weapons class. Right now we're doing,
What weapons do you go over?
we do katana, so sword, bow staff, nunchucks. I personally don't teach it. I don't really have any desire in that, but my younger instructors, they're great at it. They teach it and they love it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you have the foam nunchucks or do you have the metal nunchuck noise?
Foam.
Foam.
100% foam. I don't want these kids knocking themselves out with a nunchuck.
All right.
Got it.
All right, let's move to one of our newer segments, answering a viewer question. And this one comes from instructor Matthew G. And I think a lot of you are going to relate to it, our audience. He said, I got a great instructor on the mat, but he's terrible at the front desk and at sales. Do I keep training him or do I keep him in his lane? Master Chun, let's start off with you.
If he's horrible at it, he probably doesn't want to do it. And the more you do it, you're probably like causing stress and strife with this kid, and you're going to lose a staff member. So for him, I would put him in a lane that gets him happy, which is teaching. And then I would create a measurement that goes, this is the number of people we need testing, and we need our active count a certain number. And that's his lane. He's a customer service rep in terms of the business, and he needs to keep everybody happy and going in terms of that. And then training someone in sales, I think, is a much easier find, right? Because they don't necessarily need martial arts skill. They just you need someone with a good personality. Usually it's a mom, right? Usually someone that's outgoing and someone that can do it. And so I have a brigade of dads and moms that work for me part-time that just handles things like that. And they're super easy to do, right? There's a tact and sophistication that they have. Some are volunteers, some are helpers, and some of my volunteer in lieu of testing fees and tournament fees and so forth. They'll work for me once or twice a week. And I have some people that have turned into paid instructors, or I have actually one mom that turned into one of my business partners. I would handle it that way. And sometimes you'll notice one of my black belts was the number one MetLife insurance salesman in the country. Like he used to have, was it American Airlines in Dallas as one of his clients. So this guy can sell anything. He used to have Walmart as one of his clients, helps out with memberships, helps out with things. You have a wide variety of people that can help you out on the floor, right? Or on the front desk anyway, I'm saying. So front desk, I think, is you can plug and play someone that's happy and personable and ready to go.
What do you think,
So that's
Master Bronson?
I think we are missing the most important part of our jobs, which is being the chief recruiting officer. We have to constantly be recruiting. Obviously, students, duh. But I think this is what I've recently come to realize, is that we have to recruit staff members for every part of the business at all times. We always need instructors, and you always need front desk people. And I would fully agree with what Master Lee said, with just look for other people who actually want to do it. When you force people to do things they don't want to do, not only are they not going to give their full commitment and effort, second, it's usually not what they're good at. So you have to really align people with what they're good at, which usually means what they want to do. So when you force it, and the other thing too is, if you keep forcing, you might just lose an instructor at the same time, because that person might just quit.
There's the answer. Both experts agree on the same answer: is keep them in their lane, have them enjoy what they're doing, and don't force them into something that they're not good at. Before we get off, Master Bronson Ko, is your book, and I'm going to put the link where you can purchase the book, The Mentor. What was the book called? I'm sorry, what was the title of the book?
The Mentor Method.
The Mentor Method, that's right. That'll be in the link on the show notes and the YouTube description below. Is that in reference to martial arts school instructors, or is that in different industries as well? Can you give us a little, and congratulations on being an author, by the way.
Thank you. So it can be applied to any sort of situation where you're leading, you're teaching. So soccer coaches, obviously Taekwondo instructors, martial arts instructors, whatever. But that's like the one thing that our studio has had that I would say that's warranted the higher rates, because we don't teach like most of the dojons teach, which is the entertainment version. I also call it tippy toe method. So it's like, I'm just going to keep you busy and hope that your behavior changes. But the way we do it is we actually confront behavior. We use conversation. The other option is the authoritative method, which is what we were raised on, which is I'm going to scream at you and make you do push-ups, and then your behavior will change. So to answer your question, it can be applied to any leadership, teaching, coaching situation.
Oh, like any sports coach,
Oh
not
yeah.
just martial arts school owners. Got
I've
it.
had and even one of my instructors now, that's a mom, which by the way, Master Lee's hits it right on the head. I've built the studio just with like mom volunteers, mom staff members. Like they're a huge part of our business and they're awesome. And guess what? They're the ideal customer. That's who we're trying to market to. But I've had one of my instructors who's a mom said that after she learned how to teach our way, it's helped her become a better parent.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I highly recommend. I can't wait to get a hold of the book and read it. And I want to make it a must read for our instructors. And if there's anything our people can glean off of that to become more effective on the classroom floor, I'm all for it. So thank you for taking the time to put it all on paper and sharing your knowledge with us.
Can we get an autographed copy?
$1,000.
What a value! Value.
I would have paid 5,000,
Yeah,
but thousands
I was
a
gonna
deal.
say.
Yeah. I was
Coming off
thinking
cute.
6,000. So anyway.
Yes, of course.
All right. And that wraps another episode of Black Belt Banter. Huge thanks to Master Bronson Ko for coming back on the show and sharing the playbook behind raising tuition the right way and building upgrade programs that actually work. Even if you take one idea from this conversation and put it into action, your school will be better for it. I also want to give a big thank you to my co-host, Master Chan Lee, for bringing his insight, experience to the conversation. These episodes are always sharper with him in the room. Master Chan and I always say the same thing. Owners who win long-term are the ones who treat the business side as seriously as the math side. Pricing, programs, and the guts to charge what you're worth all fall into that. If you got value from today's episode, do us a favor, share it with another school owner who needs to hear it. Drop us a review and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's coming next. Until next time, keep building better schools, serving your students at a higher level, and running the kind of business you're proud of. We'll see you on the next episode of Black Belt Banter.